Are you sick and tired of getting kicked out from the fire team because of what you are using when it comes to raids? Look no further. I'm going to show you builds and tips that will help you complete all 4 encounters in Pantheon and also get you that sweet, juicy loot. I'd also appreciate it if you guys would hit that like button and also subscribe. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start on the first encounter of the first week of Pantheon, and it is Golgeroth. For each of the builds for each encounter, I'm going to be showing you the whole shebang for the build. And just to start it off, let's start on Titan. For this build, I am using a Thunder Crash Titan with this exotic chest piece, which will increase our damage for our Thunder Crash. And for the weapons, I am using Izanagi's Burden, and for the heavy, I am using this Void Linear Fusion Rifle, because for the first encounter of Golgeroth, it's mainly precision damage. And of course, for this week, there is Void Weapon Surge, so it will give us an increased damage boost to Void weapons. They also added a few enemies into this encounter. On the left and right side, there are going to be Yellow Bar Knights, and on the far back, there are also going to be ogres on the left and right, and also Taken ogres as well. But other than that, the mechanics are the same as it was back in the day. And here are the seasonal artifacts that I was using on the Titan. Now let's head to the Hunter. And of course, for the Hunter, be sure to go for the Celestial Nighthawk build. It's the one-shot golden gun that deals high damage to single targets. And for the weapons, it's the same thing I was using for the Titan. But if one of your teammates tells you to switch to Tractor Cannon, be sure to do that. And also too, if you like, you can also use Lucky Pants. And for the weapon for Lucky Pants, you can use Warden's Law. And the perks for that one, you can go for 4 times the Charm and Vorpal. And you can swap that exotic if you're using the Lucky Pants to like Tractor Cannon or like something else, but I do recommend going for Tractor. And if you are dealing with the balls, you can also use this Fusion Rifle, because I do believe it takes either like 2 to 3 hits or maybe 4, but this Fusion Rifle is pretty good when destroying those balls, so you can have more of enough time to damage the boss. And also for the solar builds, I use this fragment called Ember of Singeing, because whenever we scorch targets, it will reduce our ability cooldown. Why? Because of the perk for this raid called Class Warfare. Whenever we use our class ability, it will increase your fire team damage output, and it would also reduce your incoming damage while active. So the more you can be able to proc your class ability, the more damage you're going to be inflicting to targets, and you can only do that times 3. So be sure to let your teammates know when you're going to activate your class ability. So I do recommend once the damage phase starts, 3 people will pop your class ability to give you that times 3, and then that 4th person will wait for the timer to go down almost to 0, and then afterwards he will pop his to extend the time. Because when I did it, I got at least like 2 or 3 of my class ability back when I had that fragment on. And for the Hunter, these are the seasonal artifacts that I was using. Alright, for the Warlock, for this encounter, I chose to put a Cenotaph build just to give my teammates more heavy ammo. But if you do not have Cenotaph, you can always use Lunafactions to increase the reload for your fire teams and yourself when dealing damage to the boss. But I prefer using Cenotaph. And for the weapons, primarily the kinetic weapon, I'm using the Stasis Trace Rifle to give myself and my teammates, or should I say myself, special ammo and my teammates heavy ammo. And for the energy weapon, I put Sunshot just for ad clear, and for the power weapon, I put this Void Linear Fusion Rifle. And of course, you are going to be Well of Radiance, because you're a Warlock, of course. And if you do have multiple Warlocks that are using Well, be sure to let your teammates know which Well are you going to be popping first. And also too, if you do want to increase your damage even further, you can remove your Trace Rifle to Lumina, because Lumina will give you and your teammates 35% increased damage. That is the highest amount of damage you will inflict to targets in the game. So you can swap your Trace Rifle to Lumina and your Sunshot to a Solar Trace Rifle. And here are the seasonal artifact mods I was using for this Warlock build. Once you and your fire team completed Golgeroth, the next encounter is Caretaker. What's cool about the Titan when going on Caretaker, you can use the same build as what you previously were using, but the weapons are going to be different. So there are multiple ways for you to DPS Caretaker, but for me, this is what I would use, but I would give you some recommendations for other weapons. On the kinetic weapon, I'm using this auto rifle for just to clear out adds at long range and also killing those bees in the middle of the map. And for the energy weapon, I put Indebted Kindness with Volt Shot and Impulse Amplifier. Yeah, I do not want Impulse Amplifier, but it is what it is, just because there's going to be taken adds if you are going to be stunning the Caretaker. They're mostly going to be Arc Shield, so that's why I put this sidearm. And for the exotic, I put Sleeper Simulant because it is pretty good when dealing with Caretaker. You can also swap the Sleeper to like Edge Transit because of the buff for the Void weapons with Envious and Bait and Switch. And also, if you were to put on Edge Transit, you you can put Outbreak Perfected in your kinetic weapon slot because that does pretty decent damage if you run out of ammo for your edge transit. And same thing for the Hunter. The build is completely the same, it's just the weapons are different. But for me on the Hunter, I do recommend going for edge transit or cataphract, but for me primarily edge transit, and then of course embedded chitinous and outbreak. And for Warlock, be sure to go for lunafactions for your boots. And then I do recommend, if you're using Warlock, to use tractor cannon, because I know Titan and Hunters are going to do that girthy damage to the boss. So of course Warlock, you're gonna have to be that support dude. So yeah, put tractor on your heavy, on your energy, you can put indebted kindness, and for your kinetic weapon put an auto rifle or a scout, but in my opinion go for an auto rifle. Once Caretaker has fell over, you are now going onto the third encounter, which is planets. All right, for this build you can either use the Thunder Crash build or you can use this Pyrogale build, your preference. But if you do want to survive longer, you can go for Pyrogale. So for the Pyrogale build for the Titan, as what you're seeing here, these are the things that I was using for the build. And for the weapons, on the kinetic weapon, go for an auto rifle or scout. For your energy weapon, I do recommend going for indebted kindness if you're doing ad clear, and there's also going to be enemies that are covered in arc shields, primarily the captains if you're doing planets, and also this is very good for ad clearing too. And the main DPS for the boss is going to be rockets, so I am using Dragon's Breath. And here are the seasonal artifacts that I was using for this Pyrogale build. For the Hunter build, it is the same thing as it was previously with the Celestial Nighthawk, but I did change a few mods for my armor pieces. But other than that, the exotic and super are still the same, but the weapons are different. For the kinetic and energy, there are the same ones for the Titan, but the heavy, I am using Gallowhorn. And here are the seasonal artifacts that I was using for this build. So for the Warlock, I am using the Cenotaph build when we deal with ads and those yellow bar enemies when doing planets. So for the power weapon, I do go for Apex Predator, and for the energy weapon, I am using Sunshot, and for the kinetic weapon, I am using this Stasis Trace Rifle. But again, for the weapons, you can change it as you please. And here are the seasonal artifacts that I was using for this build. The people that are doing planets, there are going to be tornadoes spawning on you, so be sure to stay away from the tornadoes. And lastly, for the people that are ad clearing, there is going to be a tormentor in the middle, so either have like precision shots or something that would stun them. And yes, you can be able to finish this tormentor. So once the boss falls over, you are now going on to the final encounter for this first week of Pantheon. All right, for Atraks for the Titan, be sure to go for Thunder Crash, and for your exotic, go for Parasite or Lament. And for the weapons, you can go for like a scout rifle or a auto rifle for your primary. And for your energy, you can go for an ad clear weapon like for Barents or any other weapon, or a sniper. And for the Hunter, go for Blade Barrage with Star Eater scales, because we are going to need to use supers that will not take a long time to deal damage to the boss, because as soon as you deal damage, he will disappear. And same thing for the exotic, go for Lament or Parasite. And the weapons, same thing as the other one, either an auto rifle or scout or an ad clear weapon. And for the Warlock, it's your time to shine. You are not going to use Well of Radiance, you are actually going to use Nova Bomb. And I am using Contra First Holds just because of just dealing with ads. And same thing for the heavy, you can go for Lament or Parasite. And also for the Nova Bomb, go for Nova Bomb Vortex, because this one is a fast shooting Nova Bomb and it's quicker, you know? But if you were to go for the other Nova Bomb, it is slower and will block projectiles from your teammates. So be sure to go for Nova Bomb Vortex. Once you defeat Atraks, you're now going to get your rewards at the end of that encounter. Be sure to talk to that robot, and you can choose to either get Touch of Malice or Eyes of Tomorrow, or you can get like an exotic Cypher, golf balls, or choose any raid armor you like. But in my opinion, go for either Eyes of Tomorrow or Touch. Hope you guys enjoyed or found this informative. Be sure to hit that like button and also subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace. Join the Discord!